Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here today. My name is Marta Manriquez from the Graduate Student Center. And with us today, I'd just like to introduce members of our Graduate Student Center. Adrian Silva, she's our Outreach and Graduate Advisor. We have Jennifer Paulson, our Student Assistant. She's a credential student, and she also has a master's in history from CSUB. And our Student Assistant, Jay Chandasani. Last but not least, Dr. Luis Vega, our Graduate Student Center Director and our Associate Dean of Graduate and Undergraduate Studies.
Thank you very much, Marta. I appreciate your great introduction. Everybody who's here, thank you for joining us. I know people will be watching this on video as part of the Grad Slam 101 informational workshop. Just to give you an overview then, my plan is to describe the Grad Slam competition, give you a little bit of the background on the structure, the process, the procedures that go into putting this competition together, as well as how I said that this competition is not only a professional development opportunity for students here at CSUB, but also allows to take this to the next level, which is a state competition and a Western competition. I believe there may be a nationwide competition in the future. So the same presentation can be carried over into other competitions. Also know that this workshop is a collective effort from the Graduate Student Center staff. You met everyone here, Marta, Adrian, Jennifer, and Jay. I wish more students could attend these workshops because there is going to be a lot of information that can apply not just to research competitions, but also to the job interview, to meeting people, and getting your message across in a very brief, succinct fashion. There's a lot of tools that I hope you will gain out of the 3 workshops that we have. Today is the first one, informational workshop. Next week, we have how to create presentations that are very impactful, and we'll be giving that presentation ourselves too, using material from the nationwide or the East Coast 3-minute competition where the presenters there won their different universities, won the competition, and then they went to the regional one and did an amazing job, as well as the Cal State competition that we had here last year. So we'll bring all of the tools that made this very successful, and we'll put that in your hands so that your job is to do even a better job. So what I put here for you, this is our university shield. We'll have your name and the university shield, as well as the name presentation, your research presentation. And it'll take place on December 3rd from 3 to 5 p.m. Likely, depending on how many competitors we have, it may not take that long, but it'll be on December 3rd, which is a Friday. After the competition here, there will be the person who wins will go to the regional competition on March 20th through the 23rd. And I believe the 23rd when they have the competition. What you see here in the next one is that for the very first time last year, the California State University system decided to have a statewide competition amongst all the Cal States. And what was nice about it is that they allow for 2 competitors. So the first place gets to go, and the second place too. We had 11 universities participate last time. And remember, we have 23 CSU campuses. The second one, which is going to take place in May. So what you see here is the program from last year. We had 11 competitors. I cannot emphasize enough how happy and how impressed I was with the presentations. You guys are so good, you don't know it. But when you go to that competition and see your fellow competitors, you're going to be so proud of them. And you yourselves will find yourselves there this time. So this one is also called the 3-minute competition. But the reason we don't say that is because it's trademark. So, but we have the Grad Slam, right? Graduate Slam competition. But it's technically the same thing. In 3 minutes, you want to communicate your message of what you did in a way that is very impactful through one picture. You know how they say a picture is 1,000 words? This one, they really mean it here. For the most part, a picture. They don't want too many words, number one. And number 2, this is about 1 page, single space. That's what people typically do. They memorize the speech or their presentation, and then they do everything to come across well. You dress nice and you rehearse, and we will actually have a rehearsal. So you can expect to have 2 more workshops, how to present yourself in front of an audience, and what that will be the the 3rd workshop after this. I will show you how these presentations are scored too. There will be judges that we have. These proposals are going to be reviewed by the Honors Committee, Graduate Council of Directors, Honors Committee. About 5 professors will be looking at this. And let me tell you, I've been told in the past, sometimes they reject these presentations. So you want to do a good job, right? I know last year we didn't reject anything because it was very good. And I'm sure this will be the case this time. I wanted to mention the judges, right? So typically we pick illustrious alumni from the community. So these are people that have very high positions in the community and got a master's degree from us. So what I wanted to do is to give you a little bit of a taste of what students did last year. So this is a student in biology. He presented on fishing for proteins, okay? Let's look at his presentation. Here's what you see, a lot of formulas. And even this one is a little too busy, but nonetheless, is how to extract antibodies from proteins in the salamander that could be beneficial. Right? This was 3 minutes. He rehearsed this. You also give credit to your sources and then being able to elaborate on that picture. Here's another one. And for this person, I'm going to show you 2 slides. I want to show you the one they submitted and then how the revisions took place. How is it that it was revised? So here is the initial picture that was sent to us. And then what you see at the top is that I try to provide feedback. So you will do a submission to us. You have a proposal application that you can take with you today so that you know what is involved. Later in November, after we had all the presentations, I'll convene the honors committee of graduate directors, and then we'll send you feedback to help you fix your slides if we think you could use the feedback, and then we'll have a rehearsal. So that's what is going to be coming our way over the next 4 or 5 weeks. So let's see how this was fixed. Let's go to the next slide. Look, it went from 6 pictures to 4 pictures. When the student presented, basically said that when you have picture carrots malformed or that didn't grow up and look sick, the one thing that farmers do is that they use the fungicide to produce the nice carrots. But what if you use a biological agent, right? Something in the soil to grow these beautiful carrots, right? And it was fascinating. It was just a great presentation. And you can see how the pictures kind of help you move along, right? You tell a story just from looking at the picture. So how we go from 6 to 4. So here is another one, and this one did very well. I think our student didn't win this competition, but she went on to win other competitions. And this is what, I don't think we had to do anything. She pretty much simplified it very nicely. Her research had to do with environmentalism and how we can use some of the natural barriers to clean our waterways here, which become contaminated through a lot of things. Chemicals, you cannot do much about it, but notice that she actually shows how this could be done. And if we could target these areas, we could have a cleaner environment. So it's pretty simple, right? You can see how it tells a story too, right? So this person did a great job. Here's another one from geology. So notice that many of you are the STEM area and you're probably working closely with a professor. Hopefully, I believe you're financed a little bit. I hope you're getting a little stipend. But even without money or anything, it's great to be able to participate in these competitions. So here is what, this was the initial one. So this is about astronomy and metals and fragments. So this was the initial slide that was turned to us. What type of feedback would you provide, right? Think about it. So you may say, well, it has 4 pictures. It kind of looks complicated. What is the role of each? And you see the penny, so it's a little one. We provided feedback and the student fixed it to this one. So the person was able to tie the graph here to the different aspects of the rock, right? I'm not an astronomer, but it was just, it flowed beautifully, right? So, but you just notice that you go from here, right? And notice this, that here you have a penny to show it, but if you go to the next one, the person put it in their hand, right? And I thought that was really terrific, right? To be able to put images in people's heads, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure you're impressed like me, right? My gosh, these guys were so good, right? So here is another one. This one is very interesting. A student in psychology. The topic here is parenting and communication, right? And this is the initial slide. So basically how the parents, the messages they give to the child and how the child is reactive, right? Now, how could you make the slide better to make it even more interesting? How many of you have heard of a concept map? Look at that. That some words carry more weight, but not only that, look, there is a parent carrying a child, right? My gosh, this was really clever, right? So as you can see here, and it's emphasizing that some words carry more weight than others, right? So stigma, that's a negative thing, and notice how it's in the forefront, right? So if you have a disability, or if maybe your ethnicity or something that you're not valued in society, there's historical context. I mean, you just carry everything here. It was very impressive. The student did a great job. And that this affects your mental health, right? So that was the other message, right? If you have good parenting and they provide protective programming in terms of the words they use, the love they provide you, you're gonna do well in life, right? And by the way, this was a clinical psychology student, right? They're gonna become counselors. So here's another one from biology. And in terms of plants and hormones, and I don't know if I have a second one, I didn't have time to do all of them, but here's the healthy, the infected one. So this one is very simple too. It didn't require any sources because it was the professor, the mentor providing this. And then the student just provided a great elaboration on how the fungus, spreads and what can you do about it. So let me look at the other one here. So this one is from a history student. So it's not always just the STEM fields. I hope we get students, we have people from English, history. So this has to do with how is it that the Chicano movement in the United States, seeking equality, kind of how that kind of was very similar to the Maoism in China. Notice the Mao is there, kind of appeals to symbols. So this person just did a great job of explaining, tying the two movements together, which a lot of people say, well, the civil rights, just like you have Martin Luther King, obviously we have Cesar Chavez, but they're saying that they have to be like a political aspect to this, just like it was in China. And the person just did a great job of telling a great story. And how is it that groups who feel oppressed, how they can come collectively to create a social movement and bring rights, to respect, who they are. Here's another one. And what are you noticing about the titles? The titles can be very short, like the first one, Fishing for Proteins. Remember, that was the first one. The second one here is a little longer. So let's see what this looks like. This is the original submission. And then we offer some suggestions. And the feedback was, well, many of the people may not understand the molecules and all of that, right? So we suggested to add a little more, and this is what the person did. So here's the potato that is healthy, the one that is sick, and how, if you want a good potato, maybe the roots and the fertilizer, can keep it. But if you have toxins, then it'll change the chemical structure, and then this is what you get. It's not only showing the science behind it, but also putting this into, well, potatoes are a basic staple for a lot of countries like Russia and maybe Ireland. I don't know if that is the case today, but when you have a lot of food that has been wasted or contaminated, that's definitely not good. I do believe that we grow potatoes here in Kern County too, but this one also was turning like this, the infected one, the normal one. And it had a source where these pictures came from. Oh, look, it has like the animation. I didn't see that. Typically, they don't recommend animation, okay? I just noticed that. Here's another one, and it had to do with the drought, things that are very salient to us in California. This is the original picture. So we gave feedback. Since you're talking about the roots, wouldn't it be nice to be able to show the roots, right? So you can actually see the root system, and you can almost predict this one is not going to do as well because the roots are too shallow, but this one might do better because the roots are deeper. And in fact, you can make the prediction, right? And this was great. I mean, I just love what the student did, huh? So here's the original picture, right? Which is great. And then we gave some feedback. Obviously, there are benefits to taking naps. And the student presented some data. By the way, you don't need to have collected data or done the experiment. It could be the proposal. But notice that most of these have like a theory. They have making a prediction. They have expectations, right? And this is what it came back. Remember I said the first one was good? So we took the driver out, and then we left this one, the benefits of napping, right? And then they combined that two graphs into one. So at any rate, the student did an excellent job too. The first place last year got a nice clock. You get a nice certificate too. So notice that, we'll provide this as we get closer. Like they have specific aspects on 4:3 ratio, which is the new one. Like if you have a high definition TV, this is how they are. It used to be, you hear on phones having the tele lens. allows you to get more into the picture. So this allows you to put less into the picture, but you get better coloring and things like that. And they kind of give you directions on trying to be economical, not to be too busy on your picture, be strategic about color and what you present. And you've seen enough of that in the slides that I presented. And then these are some of the things that the judges are going to be passing judgment when you present. So the background and significance, right? Explaining terminology, you want to be careful. You notice that many of the slides that we saw had a lot of biological things that were kind of difficult to understand, right? So you want to do what you can to simplify that. That it has a clear impact of the results and conclusions. Obviously, like if you're talking about carrots or potatoes or even space, you want to relate that to real life, how it impacts all of us. You want to have a nice sequence in terms of chronologically, you have a question and you propose how you're going to answer that and what you expect to find and what are some of the implications. Obviously, the language for non-specialist. So stay away from jargon if you can. And if you use jargon, just define it or find simple substitutes. Make sure you don't rush. And next week is going to be crucial because I'm going to give you a lot of the recommendations that the people, they present to us. And I'll give you more background on your pictures too. Don't rush. So that's the comprehension and content. You want your message in 3 minutes to be out there and for people to walk away and remember. And then in terms of your communication, you want to have a degree of curiosity, a degree of creativity, so that they can walk away with a take-home message, which is what they say. You want to be able to not trivialize things. I mentioned that you want to simplify the vocabulary, but you don't have to do so much that people lose sight of what you're trying to convey and communicate. Obviously, be enthusiastic, and it's very interesting because like next week, I'll show you, look at my eyes, right? I'm looking up there, right? I'm not even looking at the camera. Notice that I'm not moving, right? So should you use movements and should you use your body language to communicate? So a lot of those things I'll pass to you next time. Obviously, you want to maintain the audience attention. You have 3 minutes. You could spend a little less. Some people do like a little less than 3 minutes. If you go more than 3 minutes, sometimes they put like 5 seconds and 10 seconds, and then they cut you off. But because we rehearsed, that wasn't a problem for our group. You want a stage presence, again, which is what I was mentioning earlier. And then your PowerPoint should be clear, to the point, concise. And I think you've seen enough examples. So this application is going to be in the website, and then it'll have your name, your graduate advisor, presentation. Actually, there is criteria, less than 20 words. We would like you to submit your picture, your slide, and we would like you to submit your presentation, a write-up of your presentation in 1 page. And then we'll give you feedback on that. We'll run it through the Graduate Council of Directors, the Honors and Awards Committee. I anticipate not turning anyone down. If you've done all of your work, unless people come last minute, then I may not be able to defend you or to help you. And then after that, I'll invite you to do a presentation. I'll send you feedback, and then you come to the presentation, and at the presentation, we'll give you more feedback. So you get feedback at multiple levels from me, from the honors committee, and then you present, and then the judges will obviously give you feedback too. Let me tell you a little bit, a contingency here. It's possible that this is going to be in person, in which case you will be going to Colorado. And in your presentation, the third workshop that we have is how to present in person, right? How to be effective through nonverbal communication and everything. So I hope you can make it to that. But if there is a chance it could be, or they may allow to do hybrid, right? And the reason they may allow that is because, people have medical conditions, right? There may be reasons to allow that. And if that is the case, the feedback that we have got so far, if you practice in person, to do as much rehearsal as you can so that you don't get nervous. I think it's a little more nerve-wracking when you do it in person, right? In terms of the project, some of you may already have a project. If you don't have a project yet, it's still in the beginning. My advice would be to you can spin something that you're doing, no matter how jargon laden or how technical it might be, into something interesting, right? And that's why I like the slide. The one slide kind of forces you to simplify. So you're still an interesting story. And you will see, I can even give you a little bit of feedback. I see Isabella, she has one of her companion animals there. I don't know if everyone can see her, right? Or if you only see me. But if you see all six, everyone who is on this call, you see that Isabella has a dog there, right? A beautiful puppy there, right? Well, one of the presentations at the other conference was a cat, right? Or no, a rat. And that rat, right? Just the rat just on its tummy, right? And the presentation, it was fascinating, you know, just from looking at the rat, the white rat, right? And it's part of telling the story, right? And being able to convey the enthusiasm and the impactful message that you will have on the table for your audience. So at any rate, it's a great experience. I'm so happy that you joined us. I hope this was useful. Next week, I'm going to, it will be a short presentation. I want to give you all of the great strategies that the students presented to us. If you know other people that you, who are graduate students who are willing to submit, we had 11 people. We had 7 people the first year. The second year, we had 11. This is our third year. It'd be great to have maybe 12, right? So have a great day and see you in next week.